Timberwolves in control with 8:20 left to go. Kevin Love is on the bench. They have given him his first career triple-double, 37 points, 12 rebounds, and 10 assists. As Love connects with Brewer on the outlet, the three-quarter court outlet. Brewer's finish gave him his 10th assist of the night.
Poor Alan Horton screwed on one of the big triple-double calls of Kevin Love's career. Since Alan's one of my best friends, I love playing that. No fair telling him early. Kevin Love deal's done to Cleveland. We'll break that down. Plus, we'll look at more coming up on today's edition of Tip Off. Pow! How are you? Welcome to Tip Off. Thanks for tuning in. Greatly appreciate you taking the time in the off season to still tune to our NBA podcast. Hello to all of you in Australia. It seems as though that audience is growing. I saw that Tom Reed got the shouts, as I guess they call it in Australia, from us yesterday. Really look forward to working with all these guys from Australia. Great stuff. Tour of Utah is going on right now, and it moves back into the area here on Friday with a ride into Camas that's worth going out to see, Saturday into Park City, and then up around and into Snowbird. If you get out there early enough, you'll probably see me and my buddies, but you better do it before Park City because we're not going all the way to Locke, I don't think. We're not good enough for that. And then Sunday is the final day through Park City. If you get a chance, come out, support the Tour of Utah. It's also Travis and Joe and the guys have been doing an amazing job on Fox televising it. It's made it really fun to watch, and it's neat to see your local area on television shots like that. So I hope you can take all that stuff in. All right, here's what we got on today's show. I'd love to get some questions from you today. If you're tuned in, want to add that onto the catch it in. Kevin Love deal, loyalty, shoe company or team, what needs to be done about rookie votes are out, impact of stretch fours and impact of place of play. And I still got all that data on Ryan Knaus's stuff that I want to get to you. It's incredible. We sit here on August 7th and actually have NBA stuff to talk about, but the NBA reporters that are out there today are just incredible. Jack McCallum wrote an amazing piece on David Blatt. Anytime Lee Jenkins or Chris Ballard writes something, you have to read it. Zach Lowe is pretty much at the point where anytime he writes something, you got to read it. There are just so many must-reads right now. Kevin Pelton, I feel like, is there too. It's great stuff to be an NBA fan. So the Love deal is done, and it's a huge win for both sides, and frankly, what's a bummer is it's a huge win for two terrible franchises. I mean, at least from my standpoint, I feel like we're trying to do things right. And there's a bunch of franchises trying to do things right. I think Denver's trying to do things right. They kind of screwed up a little bit maybe on the George Karl thing, but maybe we screwed up a little bit on the Jerry Sloan transition. Who knows? But here's Cleveland, who he's done everything wrong. They screw up LeBron the first time. They hire Mike Brown back, who's a disaster. And now it stumbled. They win the lottery twice because in the second one, and they stumble into then LeBron, and then they're able to use the lottery pick to get Kevin Love. Holy crap! And Minnesota, who David Kahn just brutalized, and I don't think you have to be bit down forever, but I mean doesn't give Love the max deal. Drafts 5 point guards in one draft, exaggerating, don't need to. Does all of these things, and then they end up getting Andrew Wiggins and Anthony Bennett and a future first rounder because Kevin Love hates his time there so much that he's going to leave? Wow. I mean, those are incredible gets on both sides of the table and a huge win. Now, I do think we probably move ahead of Minnesota at this point. Minnesota's going to start Rubio, Corey Brewer, Andrew Wiggins, Anthony Bennett, Nikolai Pekovic. And Nikolai Pekovic's going to become a less good player when he's not playing with Kevin Love. I actually will show that to you in a little bit. And I do think, and I think the other one that gets interesting is how Minnesota's fan base reacts to this because, they fell in love with Garnett. We're told to buy into Garnett. Then we're told to buy into Love. Now they lose Love. How much does that impact them? We'll see. Maybe not. Maybe when you have Andrew Wiggins, you just jump right back in. Cleveland is going to be terrific offensively, just terrific. And Cleveland and Chicago now become the favorites in the Eastern Conference. Chicago, I said yesterday on the show that if the Love deal gets done, Chicago suddenly was kind of, if Derrick Rose was right, really was in a different stratosphere as everyone else, and that continues to be the case until now. Now, they got to find some rim protection. They got to find some ways to defend, but they're going for it. And the fact that they got once they got the commitment from Love, which evidently they have, 5-year max deal for Kevin Love, it's a no-brainer. And now they have 3 max-level players. They have their 3, Kyrie, Love, and LeBron, and they just, you know what, it's pretty easy to build your team from this point for David Griffin. You find an active long 5, and you do whatever you need to do to get them, and you find an active defensive 2 that can that helps out LeBron a little bit, and you're done. The only thing where I don't think they match well, and I think this is going to be immaterial, but the only area where Cleveland doesn't deal well is the fact that with Kevin, LeBron's best at the 4, and as he gets older, he will be better at the 4. Love can't play the 5. So they don't match well. The lineup of LeBron playing the 4, Love playing the 5 is not going to work particularly well in the sense of defensively and some of the other ways that Chris Bosh can do things. Now, the other aspect here is that, frankly, you go to the European style of 5 out, kind of what we're doing, the open post, and you use LeBron in the post as your one, and you're pretty unstoppable. So, it's that, hey, 3 years from now, Kevin Love is 32, LeBron is 29, and Kyrie Irving is 25. Cleveland's a powerhouse for the next 5 years, and they've done nothing right. Nothing right. Really, tell me what the Cleveland franchise did correctly that earned them this position. I mean, at least the Spurs do things right. Right? The Spurs draft Manu, they draft Parker, they develop Green, they draft Kawhi Leonard. Wow. What did you write? Minnesota's got a long way to go. Rubio's inability to shoot gets to be a bigger deal now. Pekovic's inability to move, but Wiggins is now going to get the chance to have the ball in his hands. So it's a huge deal for the NBA. It'll be interesting to see Cleveland. First thing I check when our schedule comes out. When do the Jazz see Cleveland? Hope it's early. Wouldn't it be great to get them early? I don't want them when they're 50-10. Let's get them early. Let's see it. Let's see the experiment early. Let's get the buzz. All right. Yesterday, the Becky Hammon news came out. I touched on it a little bit in the show. I had some comments last night on Twitter. As much as I wanted to see some reaction from people, Twitter was kind of dead last night. I didn't get a lot. I do think it's interesting, though. I'll say honestly, I didn't get a lot. I do think it's interesting, some of the reaction from some people, very few, okay? And I wanted to see this. This is what I want. One person said, saying men should accept coaching from women is neglecting obvious, but they don't. It's not right, but it's also not a conspiracy. Since when? Since when? Like, somebody tweeted that at me, and I don't want to blow them up. I don't want to say who. But where is that possibly true? We're all raised by a woman. Most of us are raised by a woman. We listened. Most of our school teachers were women. And so then we get in the workforce, in the sport. No, it just has never happened. It's not that we won't do it. It's just that it's never happened. Let me tell you something about pro athletes. This is where the myth of needing a head coach who played the game is total crap. Here's what athletes want. They want someone who's going to put them in a position to succeed and make them better. And they don't care about anything else. They don't care if Quinn Snyder or Brad Jones or Antonio Lang played the game or not. They don't care if Becky Hammon or the best coach I've ever been around in my life, Ann Donovan, played the game. But you're telling me like Ann Donovan, a woman who is in the Basketball Hall of Fame, played on Olympic teams, won WNBA championships, couldn't coach men? Absolutely could coach men. And at 6'7", could look down on them. Could absolutely coach men. And when she calls you blanky blank, you might listen a little more. Your machismo might not kick in. It's just not been done. It's not that men won't listen. It's just it's been this sexist bastion that we won't let women into. It's really kind of crazy. I mean, I had a Dodger fan. I mean, I expect Dodger fans to be idiots. I'm just kidding. Kind of. Who pointed out, whose comment was, it's not if it's a totally male-dominated sport. Okay, so on that theory, in all of our companies in the world that are run by male CEOs, we don't need to ever enjoy women or have women in the in as part of our companies. Come on. So anyway, and I think the big point I have on this one is, I actually don't think you have a legitimate argument at all in coaching, and I think you have even less of an argument when it gets to scouting, and there's no women scouts. And just call it what it is. It's just same thing with the NFL. Like, there's no explanation of why a woman couldn't be able to scout in the NFL, right? Some of the best NFL coaches never played the game. That's really stepping into the bastion of male sexism. Right? Okay. Man, Love on Cleveland, Wiggins in Minnesota, Rubio getting it out to Wiggins. I'm kind of excited, though, about this on that. Sorry, back to it. I think Wiggins can be great. Everyone's going to talk about it's going to decrease. This is going to accelerate him. He's going to be the man on this team quickly, and he's going to have to step out. Kevin Durant is about to sign a $320 million deal from Under Armour. Tell me this. The Thunder call and ask him to do something, paying him $15 million a year, and Kevin Durant gets a phone call from Under Armour paying him $25 million a year. Where does his loyalty lie? See, I think this is a problem for the NBA with their superstars, and could probably build a solid debate club argument that this is why the NBA needs to get rid of the maximum salary. You really cannot run a company business team at its maximum level if your primary piece of your company is being paid more by somebody else who you have no control over. Right? That is a fundamentally flawed relationship. The idea that LeBron, Durant, these guys are making more money, and it's only the top guys. John Wall now. Dante Exum makes more money probably from, who did he sign with? I think Dante signed probably with Red Bull. He probably makes more money too. Makes more money from, maybe not from Red Bull, but Dante Exum's going to be close. They make more money from their sponsors than they do from their team. Let's just go on a simple one with the U.S. ski team. So the U.S. ski team trains, does all their things together, except for Lindsey Vonn trains with Red Bull. Red Bull pays for all of her training, puts her in different facilities, has her separate from the team. Dante Exum's a Red Bull athlete. Why in the offseason would Dante Exum go to P3 in Santa Barbara on the Jazz request if Under Armour's paying him more and has some other place for him to go? And frankly, Under Armour's going to pay him. It's not Under Armour, it's a Red Bull in this case. Red Bull's going to pay him for a longer period of time in all likelihood than the Jazz. The NBA's got to watch this. I think this is a real issue. Loyalty to sponsors over loyalty to team. Maybe I'm making it up, but I think it's an issue. And to that point, there's actually a really cool video out about Dante Exum's Red Bull experience, and they do some neat stuff with it. On my browser, it actually is kind of screwed up web-wise on my. I really don't know why. On my Chrome, it's not fitting the package as well. But they do you get this whole thing on his brain mapping, on his court adversity tests, on his high performance testing, on his mobility, on his cardio exercise. It's cool. I linked to it last night on Twitter. It's worth checking out. His quarter court sprint is faster than Chris Paul's. His length is more than Michael Carter Williams. There's all this stuff, and it's all done by Red Bull in the name of promoting Dante Exum and what they do for their athletes. It's cool, but I do also think it's worth taking a note and realizing that there's probably some sort of question mark in there. The rookie survey came out. Dante Exum was not really mentioned in any of it. It was interesting in a few ways. Rodney Hood was mentioned a ton, probably because he's hanging out with the guys. I mean, this is all done while they're in New York at the rookie symposium. Shabazz Muhammad was there too because he got kicked out of last year's. Love Shabazz Muhammad. And is taking place. The only thing I thought was interesting is who will be Rookie of the Year. Jabari. Now let's realize these guys don't do this very well. Last year it was Victor Oladipo or C.J. McCollum were their votes, but Jabari got about half the votes from the rookies on this. And then who will have the best career? Jabari got about half the votes on that. Last year was Victor Oladipo or Kelly Olynyk, which tells you a little bit about last year's draft. And Andrew Wiggins didn't get a lot of votes. Zach LaVine got some, which seems crazy. Maybe it was Zach voting for himself. So I just thought it was interesting that seemingly from the rookies, they seem to believe that Jabari is that good. They also seem to have a lot of love for Doug McDermott, maybe because they played against him in college and don't really understand the transition to the NBA game yet. Will be interesting to see. So I didn't think there was actually a lot to be. I thought this was kind of a dud. It often is. There aren't enough people putting information out about it. Interesting piece done on the value of the stretch four. Let me see if I can pull it up on a screen share. They only chose select ones. It's done by Numberfire, but it's pretty interesting on why teams are so obsessed with the stretch four. Really, frankly, why we're going to do everything we can to try to turn Ennis into somewhat of a stretch four and see if he can become that guy. Let me see. I'm trying to see whether or not I gave you the right screen. Yep. All right. So here it is. They using NBA Wowie, which is an awesome site. They decided to look at various players with and without their stretch four. So Al Jefferson last year, without Josh McRoberts, point per possession or points per shot is S. 1.05 with Josh McRoberts on, he's better. 1.07, his usage rate goes down, he's a little better. Nikolai Pekovic, which is now relevant without Kevin Love, 1.09, 1.01, very good still, 51%. With Kevin Love, he's incredibly more efficient. 0.1 points per possession, 0.08 points per shot. Pekovic much better. Here's Anthony Davis with and without Ryan Anderson. And to some extent, this is intuitive. If in fact you're not getting better with your stretch four offensively, in theory, you're taking a risk defensively by having a stretch four on the floor. So therefore, you would certainly think that you get better offensively, and in fact you do. Anthony Davis with Ryan Anderson's an amazing 1.24, shoots 62%. This one's actually really eye-opening. And it makes you wonder what the Omer Asik role is going to be. Without Ryan Anderson, he's still very good, but not nearly as good. Samuel Dalembert with and without Dirk Nowitzki, he's very good with Dirk Nowitzki. This gets to the point of Rick Carlisle talking about how he can play guys right, and same thing with Brandon Wright. So that's who they looked at as their stretch fours. Then they added Spencer Hawes and Tristan Thompson, and you saw Tristan Thompson with Spencer Hawes was much better. You wonder, with Kevin Love now, does Tristan Thompson become viable, or how does he fit in? So you're seeing it in all of these various aspects of things where that stretch four is really, really important. Blake Griffin's ability to get out and shoot, 15 footers probably helps DeAndre Jordan, but they might like it a little bit more, and that's why they added Spencer Hawes to that lineup. And the final one I've got for you on the screen share today, kind of a good show, I would say, I think. Let me see if I can find this. Yeah, I need to make this a little bigger for you. That's awfully small. I thought this was really, really well done. This is the pace of play and what happens to teams. So here's your pace if you're playing from 93 possessions to 100 possessions. So this is the fastest. What you're shooting is what percentage of turnovers, your offensive rate, and your defensive rate, and your win percentage. And here's what I think is most interesting on this. There's a lot, actually. There's about 12 takeaways in this. I think this is one of the better things I've seen, and one of the things I've always felt. One, a lot of bad teams just play fast to make it more entertaining. And pace, traditionally, high pace of play leads to bad defense, and that is true here. If you look, the slower you play, the better your defense is. This is universal, and it's a tricky thing for Quinn. Quinn's going to try to pick up our offensive play, but when you pick up offensive play, your defense gets less good. I mean, it's just, there's no denying it here. Now, the other thing is your offense gets less good. You're playing in half court. But there's kind of a happy medium on a slower end of things that makes most teams better. The best teams seem to play at kind of a medium slow pace here in the process. Their defense a little better, their variance is better, and the three highest levels of pace of play here, your offensive rating is lower than your defensive rating. It's worth noting that everyone loves pace of play. Everyone wants you fast break. Sponsors meeting the other day, someone asked, will you fast break more? I've been burying Ty for the fact that I have not been burying Ty, but for the fact that we played more possessions in the final, 12 seconds of the shot clock to the other team last year. Those things hurt players' efficiency, all those kind of things. But the fact is that's also usually how you get a good defensive team. Now our problem is we weren't very good defensively last year. And as we tried to pick up pace later in the year, we got less good defensively. But I thought this was interesting. The other one I thought was really interesting is that there seems to be no impact on your pace of play to your turnovers. Very, very little. But you shoot better the faster you play. You just don't defend as well. So it's going to be a difficult match to try to see. And if you'll notice, I think the Spurs over the last few years have slowed down a little bit because of the fact that they couldn't maintain a defensive presence. All right, let me see if there's any questions here. Otherwise, I think we're wrapped up for the day. I hope you liked this one today. I think we've had two good ones this week, despite the fact there have not been a lot of things taking place. Oh, we do. We have a bunch of questions. All right, I don't care about Johnny Manziel, so that's going to go away. All right, so some smart aleck who just wants to be a part of this is going away. There's not a lot really ability for me to screen save other than just doing that. Here's from Steven Ramsley. Maybe I'm biased, but is Evans a regular rotation player in the league? He looked good last year when given time. It seemed good things happen when he's on the floor. Maybe he's just an easy guy to cheer for. He's going to have a tough battle getting time this year. Really, really getting a tough. He's going to have a tough battle getting time this year. So I think that's. I'm not sure that Jeremy's numbers don't match up to that of what are a regular rotation player in the NBA. Size, length. He's not a stretch four, like to our point. He's going to have to shoot the three, but his high jumper is not something he usually shoots the three. His game just hasn't materialized in a fashion that matches what most people want out of that position yet. He's a fabulous dude, and he's got a chance to probably be, he's one of the. He's a great guy, and so you'll probably he has a chance to get some time, and as time goes on, he continues to have better and better chances. But I think the fact is he's probably defined as a specialist the way our roster is laid out right now. But he's surprised people before. He's done more already than I think people think. First, sorry for my English, don't apologize. A lot of people said that Exum is going to be a star in the NBA, just needs more experience. If I remember well, with Cantor, people said the same thing. Are more cases like this? Well, I think these are very different cases, and I would separate them for two reasons. One, Dante's been playing basketball his whole life and is on the trajectory. He's just 18 years old, 19 years old, so he just needs time. Cantor had not played basketball all until he was 15 or 16, had limited experience, and he has the body, but he just needs experience. And I think those are, or he needs playing, I just think, right, one just has to naturally grow up, has the basketball background. The other doesn't have the basketball background. He's playing behind the eight ball. I think those are two very different things, and I think it's going to be hard for Cantor to get through that one. Also, I'd say the maturity level of these two kids are at totally different levels as well. So I don't see the parallel. I understand where you see it. Now I'm going to go a level deeper and try to separate those two and say I don't see that at all. Cantor could have a really big year for us if he can embrace what Quinn wants from him. He could have a really big year, and Quinn's going to want four things from him. And I don't know if he can do it. One, he's going to want him to shoot the outside shot. He's going to be a pop-out three, pop-out 20-footer, maybe 20 shoot. Let him shoot. He's got the best touch on the team. Number two, he's going to want to post up on mismatches. Not just general post-up, but when the post-up is there and there's a smaller guy because he's playing posted up. Three, pass the basketball and fulfill defensive fundamentals. Okay, he can't pass right now, and he can't fulfill defensive fundamentals. He hasn't proven he can shoot from the outside, and he's going to have to learn how to post up on mismatches and act quickly. These are four things he can't do right now, but those are the four things he's going to be asked to do. A huge year for Enes Kanter. On that note, see you.